Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, the 17th of September. We're getting better weather now. This is summer weather. I mean, I'm bailing hay. I baled hay all day yesterday afternoon. And nice hay. So what are we going to talk about today? What we're going to talk about today is, should I buy or partner with a business? One that it has been around for a while. And we're going to look at the pros and the cons. Because there are a lot of pros and there are a lot of cons, right? And when you're making that decision, it's not one to take lightly. So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday, available on podcast for your listening pleasure. And today is the 17th. It's Tuesday. So today, one of you, and you know who you are, I don't need to point you out, are considering getting into a business, but not sure how much you want to get into that business. Whether you want to take the full leap and buy the business out and run it yourself, or look at partnering with the person of where you're equal partners. Now, what are the pros and cons? Well, I can tell you, let's start with the cons. The cons to buying the business would be, it does not guarantee success. It does not guarantee you get to keep the customers, that they'll keep coming to you. It does not guarantee that your suppliers will stay with you. There's a lot of uncertainty, right? And in order to be in our area of expertise, which would be, being a specialized dealer for any of the brands, they require that you have certifications of where you have attended classes and you know their units. Now, can you get into it and not have to go through all that? Yeah. Yep. But you're going to pay more for the parts and very limited access to the whole goods and any discounts that they have there. What are the pros? The pros would be you have full control, so you're not fighting. If I were looking at buying a business out, okay? And when I say buying a business out, because there's two ways to buy a business out, all right? There is one where you get the location, customer list, and all the inventory. But most often the case when that comes into play, you're also going to assume the debt. And you're like, no, that doesn't happen. It does if you're floor planning, all right? Because he's either gonna, or she is either going to price it so that it pays off that floor plan of units that he has or she has sitting there at the business. Or they can offer a lower price, but you assume the debt of the equipment, the parts. Because most places, I'll be honest with you, they aren't like us. They have debt. And some of them require that you carry $40,000 in parts. A couple $100,000 in units. And if you were buying it, there's no guarantee that you can get rid of those units, right? The pros of partnering is you can split the workload. You can actually take on more workload depending upon whether the business is a one-man band wearing 10 hats or it's a one person with employees. And I know a lot of people are turned off by the idea of employees, the extra added expense, but you know, it is what it is. All right. I wouldn't be scared to take on employees if they're going to add value and they're going to add additional income. Yes, there is an expense that you have to figure in for employees. And that would be a con when it came to buying, would be, are the employees going to stay? Do you want the employees? A lot of times the employees don't come as a package deal. And there's nothing to say that if there are great employees, they aren't going to walk. Say it's my time to start something new. Well, if you stay with a new owner, it might be something new and something energetic. And there will be employees that will stick it out for a short time to see how you are going to run that business. Is it going to be a hostile workplace or is it going to be a nice workplace? So we have to look at, when we're buying the business, is inventory, employees, seeing the books for the last 5 years, 3 to 5 years. How much debt is the business carrying? How much income is the business bringing in? And then you have to also determine, which is an unknown number, can I come in and increase business to make more money? Or is it a roll of the dice that I may lose all this person's customers? You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's not a simple, in and out and nice, So I know with me, if you have a business for sale, all right, and you're willing to offer it two ways. I can either buy the whole enchilada, or I can buy just the parts and inventory. And you never know, they could be leasing the building. And that's another thing, is there's no guarantee that that person that owns the building will continue a lease with you, with an unknown. And I'll tell you, when you get in like that, you're looking at, you better have really good credit and a substantial down payment. I'm telling you right now. And you have money to float the business for at least a year. Yeah. All right, so back to me. You have a business for sale, and it's the whole deal. And I'm considering buying you out, your location, and everything that goes with it. What am I going to be looking for? All right, if you're a floor planning dealer, how many units do you have that are still in crates or older models that are brand new that you have not been able to sell, that are still sitting there? Why is that important? Because that tells me how much inventory, how much whole goods that business is pushing and getting out the door. See, with me, if I'm going to floor plan, and let's say I'm in with the manufacturer, and I must take at least 100 units. All right, 100 units, and it could be a hodgepodge, but it could be, so many riders, so many snow blowers, so many push mowers, but they're saying 100 units. All right. At the end of the day, what I want to see is, how many units are still sitting there. Because with me, if I were floor planning, I would discount those units to get them out of inventory so that I'm not carrying them over for the following year. Because the following year, what ends up happening is you're required to take on another 100 units. So if you sold 60 units, you still have 40 out there. That doesn't mean they're going to send you 60 more for next year. It means they're going to send you 100 units. So that means you're sitting on 140 to try to sell this year. And that tells me that that demographic there is not supporting the number of units the manufacturer is sending in, or the person that owns the business is not pushing the units to get them out through sales, discounts, what have you, to clear that inventory. Because it's like a snowball effect, you know, how it rolls. Same thing with inventory. You know, you're required to carry so much inventory, but that also means that you're required to buy so much inventory every year. And what may have started out to be $10,000 a year in inventory, which is squat, if you're not peddling that inventory, I could see a $40,000, $100,000 in 4 to 5 years of inventory that you have there because it's not selling. And what the manufacturer, because they're getting out of the parts business, folks, what the manufacturer have figured out is they can't compete on the same level as China. China duped them. Do I feel sorry for them? No. But China duped them. They got into bed with China thinking that going to be this great money-making thing, and now it backfired on them. Because they're allowed to sell in the markets. Next thing is books. And depending upon how big it is, it'll be bigger books, right? But did the business show a profit the last 3 years? Or has the owner given up and just getting deeper and deeper and deeper into debt? Because you need to know that. And I also look at the sales dynamic, the group as a whole, your owners, managers, employees, what have you. I look at it as a whole. Do they have good employees that are willing to fight for that business? And do you have a good business owner that's willing to put their employees first so their employees are willing to fight for them? Or is it a sinking ship and your good employees are bailing? And it's gotten you to this point of where you want to get out. You need to know those things. Did it turn a profit? They may have sold $300,000 in parts and whole goods last year. Well, that's fine as long as they didn't take on $350,000 in new debt. Because when you figure it out on the dotted line, that's still a negative. Well, yes, we still have the whole goods sitting there on the property. That's great. But they didn't sell. Why didn't they sell? Is it because the sales guy give up on the company too? On the owner? Or is the owner the sales guy too and could care less? They've gotten into that mook. The other thing I'm looking at is age. How old is the person that wants to sell? The closer to 65, 62 to 65, the closer to I just want to get out and enjoy some time instead of working all the time. And in those cases, sometimes you can come in because a lot of the guys, if they've been at it for 30, 40 years, have got equity in that business, have got, very little debt, might be willing to even do so much down and carry the rest. But those are things that you have to do your research. You can do a lot of it from the outside. Drive by the business and see how much is still stacked in crates that are new units that didn't sell. Because you'll see them out back. And I could tell you, in our area, these last 3 years have been slow years for these floor planning dealers. And they've got a buttload of brand new 3-year-old, 2-year-old, 1-year-old stock still sitting in crates. And if you look at a dealership, once you get in the front door and you're talking to the owner, and he's showing you inventory that is 20, 30 years old, brand new, still in the box, that should give you a red flag that they aren't able to sell everything that's coming through that door. And they're not willing to take at par just to get it cleared. And when I say at par, covering the cost of what it cost them plus interest to have that there, just to get it out. Push it away. Get rid of it. Don't carry it over. And then lastly, the main thing to look at too is just because it's profitable, doing very well, does not guarantee success when you take over. Because you change the dynamics, right? A lot of the customers are probably, customers they've had for years because they trust the owner. They know the owner will go the extra yard for them. And the employees work hard, and it's a good team, right? Now, with Amos, with you, Amos, with the business that you had, it was very profitable. But the minute somebody came in and bought you out, does not guarantee success. And from what I've heard you say in the comments and stuff, is these people had no clue of how to run that business. They had no clue that it's cheaper to have inventory for repairs and stuff on the units there at the thing instead of selling them at scrap metal price. They wanted to streamline. They wanted to get rid of everything that was old and go with all new. And it backfired. Why did it backfire? Because the new owners had a different idea of how to run that business. They didn't have anything invested other than their money. And when you have that, if you don't have anything more to offer, a lot of times it's a recipe for disaster. And I've seen some corporate companies buy out a business to either eliminate competition or just to buy their units, as far as the units that build or make the products, and take them out and relocate them somewhere else, Mexico, right? So that brings us to partnering versus buying. Now, if I were looking to partner with somebody in a business, the first thing I'd have to look at is the business profitable? Same as if I were buying it out. I want to know the books. How much profit is the business making? I still want to know how much debt is that business carrying? How much new old stock is that business carrying because they're not getting rid of it? And the most important part that you need to take into consideration is can you add value? What is your expertise that is going to entice that owner to partner with you? Is it strictly financial and you're clueless of how to run a business? It's a good way to get your money taken care of and gone in a hurry. If you say, well, I can be the financial person and help with, buying floor planning whole goods. Well, most often, all your companies that are floor planning through GE Credit. And the business owner already has the credit to cover the units, right? And GE will extend credit. Is if they got 40 units left over from last year and they still got to take an additional 100 on this year, it's that snowball, right? Here we go. It's getting bigger. You need to know what level of expertise, what value do you add, can you add to the business to either make it more profitable or split the workload with the current owner if they're willing to partner. See, if I were looking to partner with somebody, I would be looking at what can I add value. And if it's an older individual that is looking to sell or partner or what have you, what role are they going to continue to play, and what role do I play? Because you could take two of the best, most profitable businessmen, put them in the same room, and have them not agree on anything, on how to do stuff. And when you have that, if you're partners, then it kind of has a stalemate, right? That nothing gets done because you're too busy squabbling over how to do it, the process. Well, the process works good for me. Well, it's working good for them too, the way they're doing it. So what does that business owner need that I can bring to the business? And when I say bring to the business, does that mean that the value that I do bring, is it worth half the ownership? And then you have to agree on who's going to wear what hat. See, what I find the tendency is, the older the business owner is, or depending on if they started out with nothing and they built their business from the ground up, is they're not staying up with technology. A lot of them don't even take Visa, Master, or Vero, or any of those. Having access to getting credit for customers to buy their units. A lot of the older shops tell you, here it is, go to your bank and get your money. Where if you can offer credit through a number of institutions, financial institutions, and you can simply, if you're part owner, you can go to the local banks in your area and talk with them about, what do I need to do on my end to get more customers for you and for me, and they'll work with you. Especially if you're doing volume, right? Maybe they're not internet savvy either, which is technology. Maybe we can sell the new old stock online, get rid of it at a profit. Maybe we can develop a web page, a website for the business to get more exposure. And take the money that's being spent right now in local paper, print, and radio ads, it's not getting you squat, and put it into something that will. Google, for advertising. Facebook Marketplace. Again, what value are you going to bring to that business that owner is willing to give up close to half to partner with you. Why? It can't be strictly money. Because if it's strictly money, you have no clue of how he is running that business and how he is going to spend your money. And that causes a lot of tension. And I've seen best friends try to do this and end up being arch enemies by the time they get done. Being a silent partner with being a financial only, this day and age, GE Credit is covering all the whole goods. A lot of GE Credit is covering parts, which are inventory. And at the end of the day, some companies, and that's if you're buying the business from them, some manufacturers will take the parts back, but at a discount, at 15 to 20% less than what you paid for them. And if I were selling my business and I had a lot of their inventory here, I would look at that. Is it farther ahead to just send it back and take the hit to reduce the debt versus, a lot of them, we're going to one this week where they're having an auction and they're selling everything, inventory and all. And they show a lot of inventory, but it looks like a lot of new old stock. And it looks like a lot of used parts that the guy kept. I would assume the new inventory they've shipped back and got credit for. And that's what I would do as a business owner. If you were looking to buy the business, I could reduce the price by having no inventory and parts. Send what I can send back, and then whatever's left over is new old stock anyways, right? Something that the manufacturer or the aftermarket company has discontinued years ago and they don't want it back. Because there is a list of what they're willing to take back. And either way, they're still making a 15-20% profit on that because they're deducting it from you of what they're willing to give you back. But either way, no matter how you approach buying or partnering, it's not something that should be done on a whim. You need to do your research. You need to come to realize what is the value added that I can bring to that business, whether it's as a partner or as a new owner. And I need to understand that just because I'm buying out a successful business does not guarantee success. I mean, everything is a risk in life, all right, folks? But you want to minimize the risk, right? Let me know what you guys think. What would you be looking at if you were looking at buying that business out? What would you look at as becoming a partner? And what percentage would each partner be? What are the benefits of each? And what are the downfalls? Let me know in the comments. So you guys have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you here bright and early tomorrow morning.